Hello YouTube. Hello guys. I know it's been a while since I've made a video, but I am back. So, let me just get this out of the way real quick. I've been very busy, right? I've been trying to basically seek my own place at the moment, accommodation. It's been difficult, so while I've been trying to do that, I've not been able to create much content, and yeah, it's been stressful to say the least. But sorry for not keeping you guys more informed. I've been trying to do this stuff as quick as possible, but right now it's not going great. So, I'm gonna upload this video, hopefully later on today, maybe tomorrow. But this happened yesterday, and to be quite honest with you, it was probably one of the funniest things I've read in a while. So we're gonna read into this and see what you think. There's a lot to read through, but this was pretty crazy. This happened on Roblox Devforums, right? Roblox Devforums. So the topic was no more active shooter games game modes. So it looks pretty understandable from the get-go. So here someone says, "Hi, I like games like Blood Depth, but under no circumstances should the Juggernaut mode exist, as it is quite literally an active shooter game mode. You either play as either a practically defenseless office worker or the shooter, which is chosen from a list of people that are described on the wiki, which you guys can check out. I'll probably try to link that in the description. As being in either a crisis or a bad situation of sorts." Here's the wiki page that describes the mode. So what I'm actually going to do, guys, is because I'm reading this from a file, which you can get on archive.org, what I've basically done is I've archived this whole webpage because it was really funny, and it was also requested to be archived, so I was like, alright, sure, I'll archive it, so people can go back and read it. So we're going to continue reading here, but if you want to read through it yourself, you can do that. You can download it from the archive.org website, which I'll be linking in the description. Right. Anyways, he says, "This is absurd. How is this allowed?" He shows an image here of the thumbnail. If I go back and scroll back down, he does 3 question marks, and he says, "And this doesn't even try to hide it. Blood Depth at least decided to conceal the game mode by changing the name." Shows another image showing terms of service, and he basically underlines depictions of or support for terrorist or extremist attacks. Clearly not a good thing. Shows another image where it says act of mass violence against people or property. That's why I underlined. And he says, "Now there are some technicalities, but come on Roblox." Or he says, "But come on Roblox, of all games," he says, "please fix this." And someone replies saying, "Blood Depth itself has characters based on real mass shooters, if I recall correctly." Now, I haven't played the game. I didn't want to play the game. I didn't play either games, but it wasn't looking good for these games from the get-go. So he says the game mode is already part of the picture. And then someone says, "I love Roblox hard emoji." You can't see it here, but it is it not showing up the... No, it doesn't. Let me try to open this real quick. Hold on. Yeah, so if I right click it, I can open new image in new tab and I'll show you it. Anyways, he says that, and he says, obviously in sarcasm, you know, "I love Roblox." You know, like, no, you don't. Last thing I want is an even more strict Roblox. It's best to be silent on this topic. It's not harming anyone at all, and the only harm you're doing is against the developers who worked hard in the game. So basically, this next guy says, "So you're saying that if I made Columbine Simulator 2025, it would be doing no harm to anyone?" And he says, "Yes, it is," or he says, "Yes, so it is totally okay, as long as there's greater bloodshed and everyone is shooting each other." So I'm pretty sure this guy is joking, I would hope so, because that is concerning. Then this other guy, Dury, says, I made a post about this. It got flagged and taken down. But despite this, I feel like ever since Blood Depth, people have gotten more bolder and have begun to create more games similar to it. I honestly just think it's going to snowball into an even worse trend of recreating acts of extreme terror on Roblox that exposes younger audiences to it more easily, and in turn further aid the idea in quote-unquote growing. Also, yeah, people have speculated that Blood Depth has based some of their mass shooters off real instances. So, someone else says, how is that anywhere close to Blood Depth? Do you guys also want to remove Murder Mystery 2 as well? I mean, murdering people is in the title. Murdering people is not in the title, but murder itself is. I just wanted to point that out to that guy, in case you weren't informed, but you literally typed out the name of the game. I think you should be able to tell off that. But if I get what he's trying to say, I suppose he's trying to imply that in the game you are pretty much murdering people with a knife. It's more. Yeah, it is more like that, I suppose. Like, there's no other way to really paint it. So, yeah, like, these things are not good. The way I saw Murder Mystery, honestly, if you want my personal opinion, it wasn't good if, like, you were taking it for real, obviously, trying to compare it to real world case scenario. And you wouldn't want to be getting that kind of an influence from it. I know there are TV shows like that one Murder Mystery TV show on Netflix, where I'm pretty sure Murder Mystery is more based off that than actual terrorism. But terrorism in this context, even if it's fictional and not based on anything to do with the real world, is still terrorism, right? Terrorism is it's a systemic to terror. Like, you are going around terrorizing people. That's not okay. So, if Roblox wants to be more clear about that with their terms of service, I mean, Roblox promotes its platform to children. I'm not sure if it would even want to update its terms of service to permit that kind of stuff, but I suppose maybe with the age rating stuff, it could get away with it. But, like, there's a lot to touch on there. It's not as simple as just changing a few words around. They have to do a lot of work, both legally and, I suppose, literally in this case scenario. So what's this guy saying? He says he basically shows someone else's messages saying it's best to be silent on this topic. Oh yeah, so he basically says, instead of promoting a game where you simulate being a terrorist, how about you acknowledge the fact that the oldest Call of Duty games in existence have more realistic view models than 99% of FPS games on Roblox. This is just a sad excuse to encourage disturbing content on Roblox instead of Roblox developers improving when it comes to creating shooting games. It's truly sad that developers are packing it into a point that they are settling for something completely disturbing just to get the thrill that you get from playing an actually well-made shooting game. So then he shows another text by him, and he says, no, we just want Roblox developers to get better at developing games. They can try to hide it from it, okay, but the consequences are not going to go well, since eventually the games will be deleted. It's just a ticking time bomb. So there you go, there's that. I'm not sure if I agree with how he sentenced that, but I mean, hey, if that's how you want to sentence your argument, feel free. I feel the if part was too nuanced. That's what I was kind of like, okay. But I'd have to read more into that, honestly, if I wanted to get a better understanding of where he was coming from. Anyways, this guy shows another message here. He says, as far as this allowed, shows an image, the thumbnail. Go back here, scroll back down to that. And then says, that's one map team away from being moderated. Laugh my ass off. Then another person showed saying, I don't think it's technically against terms of service. Read carefully. Depictions of terrorist attacks are prohibited. And those games are clearly depicting them, even though they are not related to the real world. Exactly. Multiple tank combat has Fish State as a playable team. We won't know what kind of group they're depicting. So he shows an image. Open this in a new tab so I don't have to go back. This is the image he's showing. On to the next one. Someone says Murder Mystery 2 is a game that plays into the murder mystery genre, which is kind of like what I was explaining a moment ago. Doesn't take a genius to realize this. They literally have a sheriff and everything. There's a clear depiction of cartoon violence and a murderer and a mass shooter. The difference are night and day, bro. Take that as you will with a grain of salt, but as I said earlier, to top it off, terrorism is in fact terrorism, no matter the genre, whether or irregardless of if it is fiction or real world. If you understand the meaning of terrorism, you'll understand where I'm coming from this. Okay, he says, yes, I love when edgy kids make these kind of games just so they can be different. Representing an Islamic faction in the middle of an Eastern combat theater is not the same as a terrorist or a mass shooter. Hope this helps. That's crazy. That's just a crazy analogy. I don't know where he needs to pull that up, but alright. How is that anywhere close to Blood Dip? It is a game about mass shooters with characters based on real mass shooters. So, someone says, I made a support ticket reporting this game. Let's see if Roblox will take it down. That way, making a sports ticket instead of just reporting the game seems to be more efficient. I've got good results off it before. Alright, so let's open this game, see if it's been taken down. The game has not been taken down. Still up. It says 12,000 people playing it right now. And it's pretty new too. And you can see here how many people joined today. Or yesterday, sorry. So, the sex person says, the desperation is getting real. People are bored and need actually well-made shooting games to play. That's the only reason why these games were made. It's a lack of skill in the Roblox developing world. I wonder why. Roblox isn't so great for creating games. After all, imagine that. The investor base is real, folks. Roblox brags about how great it is for making games, but the platform shares a different story. The rich investors get richer, while the amount of quality Roblox developers on the platform is slowly fading. Someone else says, wow, let me guess, you were born in 2016. I'm not even going to begin to explain what happened and what that group did. If you don't like those games, then just don't play it. You guys sound like those boomers who hate GTA 5 and other games because it somehow promotes violence, which is proven to be not the case. Complain as you want. I know for sure Roblox won't ban these games since they are making them money and are actually not that serious as you guys try to make it. So, guys, as you see here, you can take this with a grain of salt. You saw Roblox's terms of service. You can also review them for yourselves by going back over to terms of service. Please be aware that Roblox updates their terms of service quite often now. But if you do want to review, feel free. I will try to link that down in the description below if you want to see their terms of service. But they do technically say that terrorism is against their rules. They are not very specific on examples, but they say as a generalization, I suppose it's take it as you will, as I said, because what else could it be? They are not being specific. It is nuanced. It is terrorism. By semantics, by meaning it is terrorism. And if you want to argue fiction, real life, and how it's not serious, how it is serious, it doesn't matter. Terrorism is terrorism, right? Like, I suppose it would matter in its own case scenario, in its own context. But in this context, we're talking about what terrorism literally means. And this is terrorism. So, continuing on. This guy's going on fucking about Islamic again. Alright, here we go. They are an Islamistic extremist group in a combat theatre. I will not delve into the politics and history of it because this isn't the environment for it. But they are still not the same as a mass shooter, and this isn't a situation of just don't play it in double quotations. As you can see here, more games are getting inspired off double quotations for mass shooter flicks, which introduces younger people to the atrocity. There's a display name, which I would have to assume its display name is Coke. Okay, crazy. I don't really see a big problem with this. I don't want Roblox to be even more strict on things. I think as long as it doesn't encourage people to actually go and shoot up a place, it should be fine. I agree. But, we don't always get what we ask for, do we? If the killer in Murder Mystery used a gun instead of a knife, would that make it a depiction of a terrorist attack? I would say yes, personally. With an AR-15 in the hotel map makes it seem like that. Hell, it's even worse than Blood Depth, since Blood Depth allows bystanders to wield weapons and defend themselves. Take that as you will. As said before in this thread, there is a difference between a cartoony murder mystery game, which he puts in parentheses, which you can find outside of Roblox quite often, and mass shooting games. The bystanders being able to defend themselves is just a play into making the scenario more realistic. That's crazy. Anyways, someone else says, you didn't answer my question. What's the difference exactly? Is it the blood? Someone says, I'm surprised you were saying this. You've been on the developer forum for a while. This sounds like it's personal. This is not the kind of rhetoric I would expect from you. I would have no problem if the game was simply discussing about shootings in a neutral context. That would be acceptable because it's not encouraging it. Neither is it discouraging it. It's just stating it exists and that it happened. And well, it's very unfortunate these things have happened historically, and it's not something that you should just be forgotten, since real lives have been lost because of it. This is not that. Saying that you're okay with a game where people simulate being one of these terrorists is indirectly encouraging it. That is not depicting it in a neutral context, that's depicting it in a fun activity. There is nothing fun about simulating people getting shot in a realistic active shooter type scenario. If you were a member of the victims' families of a real life shooting, you wouldn't find these games to be acceptable. Neither do I. I have empathy for anyone who has been affected by such things. Crazy thing, but I also agree. Under this logic, we should ban all FPS games. And FPS is not famous besides first-person shooter in this context. For those who were unaware. Shortly, murder mystery games are about solving a crime, in parenthesis, by the depiction of sheriff or any opposing force, while mass shooting games are focused on mass violence. Carrots are oranges, so that must mean tomatoes are blue. Right. No FPS games are not crimes against humanity or victims. Legally speaking, generally speaking, in terms of legality in this context, like if we're talking about what's common for the FPS games, sure, legally speaking, they get away with a lot, but at the same time, sure. But some FPS games have pushed it to the point where they've been brought to court over it. You can find this stuff on YouTube, and you can find it elsewhere as well. It's not private information. 1 second. Anyways, someone says, anyways, everyone's got different opinions on the matter. It seems the topic will get taken down since it doesn't contribute to anything. And it's quite hot. Quite hot, huh? Crazy. I'm not against anyone's opinions here. Just against a strict Roblox moderation. Just support, make a ticket, and everyone will be good from there. Now, if moderation on Roblox wasn't so bad, I would agree, but I understand why this person made this ticket in the first place. Alright, moving on. Someone says, they're killing the other people in-game. I don't mean to laugh, but yeah, that's, well, I mean, that doesn't just happen in FPS games, that's all I'll say. If we're talking about gaming alone. Alright, someone says, nope, I corrected my message. There's a difference. Triggers. Anyone who has basic knowledge of mental health will know what a trigger is, right? That's what he says. What a trigger is. Under your logic, it is okay for people to make games where someone simulates ignoring their friend who is self-harming themselves. Not so acceptable now, is it? Someone says, there's difference of a port over a generic over-the-top murder mystery game, in parenthesis, a genre known for being very realistic with its violence, and mass shooter recreation! With a question mark. Someone says, exactly, thank you, I'm glad someone else understands what I'm trying to say. So, someone else says, so, this also means we should ban those double quotations, Destroy the Bridge City games from 2009. No, not my nostalgia! I'm joking, guys. Unless the game is like, in double quotations, 9/11 simulator, Columbine update, then it doesn't seem like it should be against the rules. So someone responds to this and says, could someone make this PLS, please? Which is, you should know this by now, guys. PLS is please. Even though murder mystery is a sheriff, that doesn't remove the fact that it still has mass violence. I don't wish to continue this discussion. If people report the game and Roblox 6 is against terms of service, then I suppose he forgot to put so, but then so be it. Yeah, Roblox doesn't ban the game though. You can blame, again, bad moderation for that. Hold on. The title itself will get moderated, let alone publishing the game itself, says someone. I mean, I guess you could upload that. I'm not sure who would enjoy it though. Dury here says, serial murder is in fact not mass violence per accordance to laws and terminology. Sure, serial murders are scary and you are comparing children toys to nails and hammers. Destroy the Bridge versus Oklahoma City Bomber Simulator. Do you know what the difference between these two games would entail? Arguing here is useless. Roblox is going to make the decision, not us. When I am in a competition of bad takes and my competition is people inside a double quotations controversial game in Roblox Devforum post. That's crazy. He was responding to Dr. Darkblock here, it says. So, I'm mixed on this. On one hand, I agree that games like Shooter Active or whatever they are rebranded as, he says in parentheses, are harmful. On the other hand, Blood Depth's integration fits perfectly within the tone the game sets up. I highly doubt the Depths would just make a mod purely for edginess, when the rest of the game, he says in parentheses again, and the universe surrounding it was built up with such care. Definitely should be case by case IMO, in my opinion. I completely get it, says someone. We'll say his name, Deluxer. I think that's how you pronounce it. Deluxor. I completely get it, he says. Throughout my life, I've experienced some symptoms of being a psychopath. Goddamn. Okay, bro. No need to trauma dump, but alright, here we go. This is not the answer, dude. There's so much out there for people who enjoy the thrill of killing, destroying, exploding, burning, drowning, etc. There's no place for this. None. You could do all of those things in a neutral context without a scenario that would trigger people's mental health issues on a serious level. Now, this is like a give or take for who you're talking about and who you're applying it to and how you apply these concepts, because not everyone reacts to information the same. So, on to the next one. Someone called Mr. Clean sends an image. You have to just... I wonder, will this work? No, that won't work. So it's a GIF. They send a GIF. That's pretty funny. Nice. So Team Assist here says, yeah, but the hider versus shooter doesn't mention any sort of real life city or anything like that. And then someone says, sure, buddy. You people seem to forget that. You people seem to forget about that Teddy guy with the condos. Alright, this is getting out of hand now. I don't know how Teddy got brought into this, but here we go. It took massive effort and boycotts just to remove him. Blood Depth, on the other hand, good luck with that. Most people don't see anything wrong with the game. Now, this guy has a point. This guy definitely has a point. And just want to clarify, I think Teddy is terrible. I don't think it should be like... I don't think his account should have been unbanned. I think he should be removed off the platform. If Roblox is being like advertised towards kids, it's being promoted to children. It is a product that is supposed to be for children. They literally say that on their terms of service. They say that, like, they say that on their business model. There's a load of places. They say that in their help articles. They say that in a lot of places, to be quite honest. I'm trying to recall the exact places, but I know that if you read into it, you will find that information there. Because it has to say it legally as well. But, anyways. This person here says, do the people here not, like, understand this? This isn't some wacky, in double quotations, it's just cartoony violence. This is a game where you act out mass shootings with real mass shooters. This isn't, in double quotations, violent, video game are bad. This is in double quotations. Why would you add characters based on real mass shooters? Murder Mystery is a port of a Gary's Mod game mode based around cartoony, unrealistic depictions of murder. I'm not sure how true that is. Like, if that's truly, like, the specific influence from where Murder Mystery took its ideas from. Blood Depth is a game where you were trapped in an office building with an active shooter who is totally unrelated to these real people who have identical stories. Now, to defend yourself with office supplies and try and escape. You can't just say, in double quotations, well, Tamagotchis can die, so Puppy Stomping Simulator 99 is A-OK. This. So, I'm going to read off this last one by Coke here, and I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to do a part 2 to this video, because there's a lot to read through. But I hope you guys enjoy this. If you guys want to read through it yourself and don't want to wait for the other parts that I'm going to be read through this topic, because it's like over 700 total posts on the topic, then you can click the link below and read it yourself. Feel free. I will also be sending the original link to the actual Devforum page if you can still access this, but I will just let you know now, it's been unlisted and locked, so you won't be able to do anything other than possibly view it if you're lucky. I'm not sure if they're gonna like take it down or whatever, but that's why I archived it. I'm not sure if Roblox will intend to take it down or whatever, but That's why I archived it. Just in the case scenario where they do actually take this entire web page and topic down, like they completely get rid of it. So here we go. I'll read Coke's last message out. He replies to Deluxor, and then we'll leave it there. He says, I still don't understand why people take things in games so seriously. Just because you're playing a game about shooting other people doesn't mean that has to have an impact on your mental health or anything in real life. That's not saying that it can't. But apparently this guy might be implying that it can. Well, I can assure you now that's not true. If a game will trigger somebody's mental health issues, that's not the game's fault. That person needs to get help. Actually, I disagree. Personally, I think it could be both at the fault of the game and the person. But then again, there are multiple ways to look at this story. Like, this isn't just a one-sided story. There are many facets to take a perspective on looking into this, if that makes sense. Right, I'm gonna leave it there, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. There will be a part 2 at some point. Hopefully, if I'm not too busy in the upcoming days, upcoming weeks, months, years. Well, hopefully not that long. But I'll see you soon, guys. Peace out. Bye-bye.